Hello, my name's Jane Pierce. My business is Tarot Jane, and I'm here to talk to you about astrology. I'd like to talk to you about Pluto, and not in the general archetypical sense of Pluto, but in the specific about what Pluto's doing right now as we come to the end of 23 and begin 2024. Pluto takes 250 years almost to go around the entire 12 signs, which means it spends 15 to 20 some years in every single sign. The reason that matters is because in 2023, Pluto moved into Aquarius for the first time in, like I said, almost 250 years. It was only there for part of the year. It went back into Capricorn in June and then did the retrograde dance again. And it's there right now. It will return to Aquarius on January 20th of 2024. And it's got a tiny bit more to do back in Capricorn before we're done for good. So we start the year, January 1st, with Pluto in Capricorn. 20 days later, it moves to Aquarius and it stays there for over 8 months. And we get to feel what Pluto in Aquarius is like. And then it goes back and we get about 2.5 months to go back and clean up anything we lost or missed with Pluto in Capricorn before on November 19th, Pluto leaves Capricorn and enters Aquarius, where it will stay until 2043. So let's talk a little bit about Pluto in Capricorn and what we might want to finish up before we talk about where the future Pluto in Aquarius is going. So you might remember me talking about Pluto as an archetype, that it is depth psychology, it's hidden things, it's our unconscious, it is hidden power, buried secrets, things that were influencing us, but that we don't necessarily see. And when Pluto entered Capricorn back in 2008, Capricorn, the sign of structure and foundation and finances, really got shooken up. We discovered all kind of hidden power plays and unknown instabilities that we couldn't clearly see that erupted, in our case in America and through most of the world, in bank failures, housing bubbles that crashed. And we've been dealing since 2008 with how to reform that energy of our financial foundation so that Pluto in Capricorn would end with a more solid ground for us to stand on. And you may have noticed that just before March of last year, when Pluto was just getting ready to leave a Capricorn for the first time, and since 2008, we had one more bank failure shake us up and say, whoa, did we really catch all of the transformation? Or do we need another crash and burn so that we can rise again better? And the answer was, well, maybe there's a little more still to do. So we've been working on it. If you're like me, you've been looking at what fallacies have I told myself about my finances or home that I need to correct? What unconscious urges were shaping my decisions instead of practical, rational choices? Because Capricorn is a cardinal earth sign and it wants us to be practical and comfortable, but not too comfortable. It wants us to survive and be stable, perhaps more than it wants us to be comfortable. Taurus cares a little bit more about comfort in a fixed earth sign. A cardinal sign says, well, let's be just uncomfortable enough that we're hardworking and moving forward. And so we are back in that right now. And we'll be here with Pluto in Capricorn, as I said, until January 20th. Here's the opportunity that we can seize on. In early January, we're going to have a new moon in Capricorn. It's the last new moon. Last time, both the sun and the moon are there beginning a place of rebirth, with Pluto in Capricorn helping us address those big changes. So if there are things in your life in the area of your chart ruled by Capricorn, or more generally in finances and housing and practical leadership ways that you want to cement in the change, the new moon in Capricorn coming in the beginning of 2024 is the perfect time to do it. It is the last new beginning we get at the end of a very long cycle. And soon after that, we're going to have to look at what does Pluto and Aquarius bring us. As you might have noticed, Pluto and Aquarius coincided with AI. Artificial intelligence is very technical, innovative, electronic, and communication based. And all of those are perfect descriptions of Aquarius. Aquarius is the energy of what do I need to change, invent, or discover in order to keep going where I want to go. And so we've got that energy. You could say that Pluto is what unknown things we are scared of. So with Pluto and Capricorn, horror stories were about big business or the mechanisms of society and hidden influences that trapped us. But we'll no longer be scared as much of people and conspiracies once Pluto gets to Aquarius. Instead, those terrors look a lot more like the terrors of machine age coming on and taking over. Not clear, concrete fears, although there are some there, but more the terror of the unknown. What can the computers do? And I'm not saying Terminator's coming, but that fear much more describes Pluto and Aquarius than the big business structure that was more exemplified by the Pluto and Capricorn. And of course, as we dance back and forth in 2024, we might have the fear of both of what big business can do and what tech can do that big business wasn't expecting. So look at the places where we have hidden issues in the areas of technology and innovation and communication that need to be reformed in the same way that our banking rules needed to be reformed over these last 15 years. Pluto, like I said, will spend 8.5 months in Aquarius in 2024. And then we get around Labor Day and Pluto steps back into Capricorn. So all of September, October, and the first half of November, we get a final chance to be like, oh, did we take care of it all? Was there something left undone? Until November 19th, we go full out in. One of the ways in our culture to describe this is that Capricorn and big business is a great way to look at that mix of the fear that the actors strike had about AI and its impact and the fight against the big business represented by the entertainment industry was a Capricorn threat mixed with an Aquarius threat that coming together had to be resolved before we have the AI or the Aquarius or the innovation and technology becomes too rampant for us to fight. Now, on a personal level, that's probably not how it's going to show up. On a personal level, Capricorn and Aquarius are two houses that are always next to each other. And what two of the 12 houses they represent depends on where they fall in your chart. Look at your chart and at that area of your life that corresponds to Capricorn and ask yourself, where did I experience it crashing and burning and rising again? And what can I do to prepare myself for that same transformative energy coming in the next house or the next area of our life represented by a house in our chart? You'll be facing for then nearly 20 years till 2043, the need to focus on what are the hidden influence of technology, what innovations are causing power to gather in ways that might have a hidden agenda or not be obvious. Perhaps you can look at ways that technology and innovation or just trying something differently can help you address areas of your own deep unconscious need to both work with technology and to have breaks from technology. You also might want to look at, where can my secrets be exposed by technology? Where do I want to tuck away information that I want to keep hidden or private or taboo before AI and computer hacks or any of those other things get at it? Now, we never have the worst case scenario, and it's important to remember that it's nearly 20 years of Pluto working through those issues in Aquarius that we're going to have to do to figure this out. We don't have to figure it all out right now. Instead, think back to 2008 and all of the things you've learned and apply some of those to solidifying the old, and let yourself clear the decks so that as you move into this era of Pluto and Aquarius, you're ready to meet it with a more stable financial and housing and traditional settlement of that transformation. As is always the case, with 20 years of Pluto in a sign, we aren't going to feel that intensity straight through equally. Instead, what we're going to experience is a series of time where the sun, the moon, or the other planets come together with Pluto and intensify that transformative energy. Sometimes that's really beneficial, and sometimes it is so shocking, it takes us a long time to realize the benefits of it. To give you an example of some of how that intense energy in Capricorn happened. Well, we had 15 years of Pluto in Capricorn. You could make an argument that January of 2020 was the most peak intense time of that. And it's because there was a solar eclipse in Capricorn, while Capricorn and Saturn and Jupiter were all near the eclipse that happened in Capricorn. So right around the 10th, 11th, 12th of January of 2020, we had this big combination that made the Capricorn energy from Pluto a lot more significant. And of course, you could make an argument that those are when the pandemic and COVID-19 started being felt. You didn't have that horrible, intense energy for 15 years, but certainly we had a peak that we took a number of months or even years to work out. So know that as Pluto goes moving through this, we've got periods that will be more intense than others. And remember, that energy of Pluto and Saturn and Jupiter all coming together in Capricorn really happened the last time around the Black Plague in the 1400s. That is a once in every 500-year situation. We're not having one of those again for a long, long time. But we will have periods in these 20 years of Pluto and Aquarius that will be more intense than others. One of the times that I feel Pluto becomes the most intense is when it seems to stand still and either move retrograde or stop being retrograde and stand still and move forward. So rather than the entire retrograde period of Pluto being a mess, I think more it's just intense around the shifts. And you'll, as you listen to me as we go forward, have an opportunity to talk with me about when are those times of retrograde stationing or stationing direct in 2024 that will have the intensifying of the energy. I'll say the good news is Pluto goes retrograde every year for a little bit less than 6 months. And so there will only be a small period of time when Pluto begins to go retrograde and a small period of time when Pluto ends its retrograde that you will have that intensifying of the energy. In between 4 or 5 months of that 6-month period of Pluto retrograde will not be the same level of intensity. Knowing when those are coming and planning for it is the way you get to, at some level, use astrology to help you prepare for the unseen influences that Pluto represents. You might not be able to know what's going to happen, but you'll know that some unseen influences are going to pop up when Pluto comes into a significant change, either from the retrograde station, the direct station, or like when the new moon in Capricorn joins it. That energy, I'll be here all next year to share with you and let you know when those hot spots are coming. Until then, if you want to know more, check out my Patreon, Tarot Jane, or check me out on Facebook, or look right here where you found this video for more that is coming. I hope you have a wonderful day. Good night.